We're here.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Sparks Squared Speakeasy. We are the leadership conversation that you were not meant to overhear. No slides, no scripts, no nonsense. Think of this as a smart pub chat. Leadership therapy. Where we talk about what leadership actually looks like when things get uncomfortable, messy, and real. I'm Cassandra Sparks, and I'm here with Ewan from the Bright Spark Group. Pull
Hi.
up a chair. Yes. Pull up a chair, grab a drink of choice, and let's get into it. All right, the speakeasy doors are officially open.
Woohoo! Hello,
Woohoo!
everybody. I love that, Cassandra Sparks. That was a gorgeous little introduction.
Thanks, Ewan.
Welcome. How's your Friday going?
Excellent. Thank you. How about yours?
Mine is just going great. Really good. I have had a very busy morning and I'm so happy
Mm-hmm.
to be here. This is like the little light in my Friday now. I enjoy it.
Yes.
I've had some exciting meetings with some exciting people. And I am
Good.
very excited about the fact it's Friday.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure many of our leaders can agree with you on that.
Absolutely. So what we got planned for
Mm-hmm.
today? What we're gonna do for our speakeasy?
Today in the speakeasy, we're going to tell some stories. And we're not just going to tell stories, we're going to uncover this hidden meaning behind stories because as a communication expert, I know that words matter. The stories we tell and the way that we tell them matters. So, if we tell a story with a specific turn of phrase, a specific tone, a specific attitude, it will convey differently than if we were to, let's say, just be raw and really um, frayed edges about it. So we're both going to share a story that we tend to tell, and then we're going to unpack it and see what's underneath it and ensure that it is, in fact, telling the story we want to tell.
I love that. Yeah, I think as communicators, and I'm sure
Yes,
there are many leaders that are out there who do this all the time, right? Like we have our little stories that we tell. We do it with a purpose, but maybe that purpose isn't explicit. But it's a good
totally.
story, and we feel it connects with the audience. So I'm excited. I can't wait to hear your story. Are we going to rock paper scissors for it, or given that you did such a great introduction, are you going to let me go first?
Why don't you kick us off? Because I love your story. I'm so excited to hear it.
Okay. So when we were talking about this, we kind of were discussing like what sort of stories we tell each other or tell our audiences. And the
Mm-hmm.
story that came to mind for me is a story that I tell a lot, and I'm sure there's many people out there who have heard it many times before. But it's my story that I tell during any sort of like leadership development training or customer service trainings or train the
Mm-hmm.
trainers, and it's kind of the story of how I got to where I got to,
Mm-hmm.
because it is a little bit of an unusual story in that I was never really meant to be here. I was definitely not the kid at school that the teachers were like, this kid's gonna go far. He's gonna go places. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I realized that pretty early on that was never the teachers were never my audience, and I think it was because I just was never academically good at anything. I was just not an academic kid. I wasn't a good
Mm-hmm.
studier. I didn't like to practice things.
Mm-hmm.
My parents always tell me, remind me frequently that I went to piano lessons for 11 years and didn't even pass one single exam because I just sat and chatted to the piano teacher for 11 years. The worst investment of their life. I couldn't play a tune. I couldn't hold a tune on a piano to the day. Um, so I think early on I realized that I had to find my way. So I always tell this story to audiences when they're first meeting me about how I
Mm-hmm.
kind of got into hospitality and why I got there. And I
Mm-hmm.
always had one dream as a child, and that was to be a chef. I don't know why. I think it was because I grew up with my Italian grandmother teaching me how to cook, and my gran, who I don't think will be watching this. I can safely say that, but she if she does, you were my inspiration. But the problem that I
Aw.
had was that I think I spent a grand total of maybe 2 hours in a kitchen when I was 13, and managed to
Mhm.
convince a restaurant in St Andrews in Scotland to hire me as a pot washer. And I lasted about 2 hours before I got fired. And it was predominantly because I talked too much in the kitchen, and the chef was having none of it. Like,
Too
get
much
out.
chatting, not enough washing.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I remember after being fired from this job that I went and sat down in the restaurant and waited for my mum to come and pick me up, because of course I didn't drive. I was 13 years old, so
Mhm.
she was coming to pick me up after this shift that I got fired from, and I didn't realize that I wasn't necessarily meant to be clearing tables as a 13-year-old in a fine dining restaurant. But I think I must have been trained really well by my Italian grandmother. So
Mhm.
I toddled and started clearing tables while I was waiting for my mum to come pick me up. And there was a lady there who I always to this day, and if anybody knows this lady, I would love to reconnect, because she was a huge part of my career, and she will have had no idea that it was the case. Her name was
Mhm.
Anne.
Mhm.
She was kind of the floor manager adjacent. She was in charge, and when Anne was on shift, you knew she was in charge. She was
Okay.
she was phenomenal at two things: smoking and drinking. But we had the most fun, and she just took me under her wing after seeing me just take the initiative to go and clear some tables.
Mhm.
She took me under her wing and she taught me everything she knew. She taught me how to set tables properly in like a proper like 7 service dinner, how to
Mhm.
do synchronized service or silver service, how to serve from a
Mhm.
platter, and all that sort of skills that you're not going to get taught at high school. And I absolutely fell in love with this industry because I didn't need to study. I didn't really need to practice. I was
Yes.
quite naturally good at it. And I also realized I could just chat to people. And no one had taught me the
Mhm.
importance of just chatting and how
Yes.
much of a connector that is. And I watched Anna. I remember watching her all the time. She was phenomenal at it. Really, really good at just being able to connect with people that were on a totally different level. Like these were the rich, rich, rich people. And we were from this tiny little part of Scotland that was not affluent in any way. We hadn't come from rich
Mhm.
upbringings. She taught me everything I knew. Anyway, the story goes, and I got the bug, and I continued in the hospitality world, and I went on to manage hotels and restaurants and bars, and I then went to the cruise line industry and the casino industry, and there's lots and lots of great things, and I'm so genuinely grateful. Firstly, for the chef and the owner of the restaurant. His name was Ian Smith. Ian firing me on that first day, but then being willing enough to allow me back into his restaurant for Anne to teach me everything she knew. And I
Yes.
genuinely wouldn't be here for having had that, if I hadn't had that experience.
Mm.
And I tell that
Wow. Talk
story.
about gratitude.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Well, I am grateful because I would never have got to that place if
Mhm.
somebody hadn't gone, who's this mouthy little kid that's 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 clearing tables at our fine dining restaurant. I just anyway.
Mhm.
So it was for I never made it as a chef. And to all the chefs out there, because I know there'll be a few watching, I bow down to you because I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
I that is a lot of pressure, and it is a job that is very not thanked enough for what you do, but I certainly
Yeah.
tried, and I worked in every job in the kitchen. I could run expo on the other side of the line, but ask me to go to the kitchen side of the line where the food's being cooked, there's not a chance I would be able to do it. I would sink. So anyway, we were telling stories because it's about the hidden meaning and the hidden depth. And I always tell that story, firstly, because it's fun and it's funny and it gets a bit of a laugh, and you can kind of see the visual of this
Mhm.
little child running around a fine dining restaurant clearing tables, being all
Little
mouthy,
little lad.
a little lad, a wee
A
chap.
little lad.
Um, and I tell it because I think there's power in being okay being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the wrong place at the right
Oh,
time, the wrong place at the right time.
yes.
And I was, yeah, it was luck. It was pure luck that that's how my life kind of panned out. And I want to tell that story to my audiences because I want that person that's in the room that thinks this isn't for me, or I'm not meant to be here, or I might
Mhm.
work in a 5-star hotel, but I've never been to a 5-star hotel myself. Like that
Mhm.
you are at the start of what could be an amazing journey if you just learn the key basics of
Oh,
how to do it. I always tell people that you don't need a diploma or a degree to be able to do hospitality and do it well. You just need heart and you need some interpersonal skills. And the joy about interpersonal skills is even if you don't have them, you can learn them if you're willing to learn them,
yes,
and fake it till
certainly.
you make it. So
Mm.
I love telling that story and I love sharing it with people. And it's always inspiring when I hear other people come up and tell me that they had a similar start to me in the industry and where they've taken that career. So that's my story. And I love telling it to people. I will say, like every good story, it has its embellishments every now and again. I like
Mm.
to, I like to make it more dramatic every time, but it's still to the core. It's true, and it's exactly
Yes,
the story I will tell to my dying day. So there you go.
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, I like that story. I
Oh,
think it's fun. I think it just paints a picture of me, and I've not changed much. I'm still the
hmm.
cheeky chappy who talks too much. So there you go.
Oh, we just adore you so much,
Oh, well, that's
so
so sweet. I
much.
adore you too. So come on then, Cassandra
Oh,
Sparks. Spark us with some
okay.
storytelling.
This was 2023 in Charleston, South Carolina, in my tiny little apartment. This is the first time I had lived alone since 2009. Okay. And I found myself faced with a challenge. See, I needed a new mattress. So I bought a new mattress, and it's a Mama Jamma. It's beautiful, thick, really thick with lots of layers. She's heavy. She's a dense gal, which is great. And then it came time for me to have to like twist and rotate the mattress. And I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? There's nobody here to like help me on the other side. This thing is enormous and heavy. And I was like doubting my ability to do this and like kind of freaking out. Now, if anyone has ever seen me in a sleeveless top, you know that I possess plenty of physical strength. Okay?
Yeah.
Like there your girl's got guns. Okay? So the physical strength wasn't the problem. This kind of block that I had was I've never really done this by myself before. How can I make this work? And how can I do it without like knocking over my lamps and, you know, pushing my nightstands out of the way because it was a small space. So I gave myself a little pep talk. I said, Cassandra, you are strong, you are smart, you are resourceful, you can figure this out. Okay, so I'm starting to sweat a little bit at this point and, you know, getting myself amped up and ready to go. Strip the bed, make sure so I can really, you know, get at because it turns out they're like little tiny handles sewn in. So that was nice and helpful. So I
That's a bougie
get my
mattress.
it is a bougie mattress. It is. She fancy. She's a fancy dense girl. And so I finally get my hands on the handles and I'm like, okay. And I just slowly start to like drag it across my box spring. I'm like praying that my box spring has no little splinters sticking out and it's going to puncture the mattress. So anyway, I get it a quarter and I'm like, oh, okay, we're halfway there. Now, granted, the mattress is like not at all in the right position. It still has another quarter to go before we're there. And all that to be said, I finally got it rotated to the, what would that be? 90 degrees, 180, 180. It was a 180.
This is
I got it
maths.
to the
We're approaching
180.
into maths territory.
I know we've talked about that. You and I are not maths folks. So yeah, I got it to the 180, finally got it rotated. And I was like so proud of myself. And I tell that story because as a motivational speaker and a boldness coach, I often talk about bold choices and how there's a spectrum of boldness. There's really small, bold choices or the beginner bold choices. and everything to the bold AF choices, and then everything in between. So I often like to remind folks that bold does not have to be big. Now, this mattress was big, but the act of rotating it is not a big choice. It's not a big deal. The bold choices that I made, however, were believing in myself, which is bold, to have belief in yourself, and to trust my instincts. So bold choices can take so many different forms. And the act of taking that risk for myself and believing I could do it was bold. And folks can put it anywhere on that spectrum, wherever they'd like, wherever it fits for them. But it wasn't this huge, like, life-changing thing. It was just something that had to be done and that I had never done before, and overcame that fear and felt really, really good about it afterward.
I love that. I'm gonna have to find a way of using this. So if anybody's on a call with me for the rest of the day, then you're probably gonna hear me say this. I love that phrase of bold doesn't have to be big. It's amazing.
That's right.
What
Thank
a
you.
brilliant turn of phrase.
Thank you. We often hear about, these bold choices, and sometimes they are huge. Like, I have a catalog of insanely big, bold choices that I've made, and they're wonderful too. I moved to Charleston by myself, knowing no one, built a business from the ground up. That's bold AF, AF, AF. And the choice
there were a few
to...
FFFFs there.
There were several Fs. There were multiple Fs. But a choice to take yourself out to lunch and not look down at your phone, pretending there's an emergency text that just came through, but really just sitting with your own company and enjoying your own company. That is bold, very bold. It's a small choice, and it has a really big impact. So I often talk about, it's not the size of the bold choice, it's choosing to make them with intentionality, because once we make bold choices with consistency, they stack on each other. And that's when magic happens. And authenticity just kind of magically comes from that. Yeah. Truly, it's wonderful to watch and to see happen for folks.
I love that. I have a really bad obsession with people watching. Like, it's chronic. Like, it really is a tough thing to have to bear the burden of. But whenever I find it fantastically wonderful to go to a restaurant or a bar or an airport and just sit. And I am not somebody who sits with myself in peace. That I'm sure you're aware of, Cassandra. You spent time with me enough to know that that's not something actually for me.
Sure.
But I love it when I'm forced into those situations of having to sit for a flight or sit and wait for my food to be made. That I get to just look around and watch how others are so comfortable in that space. And it's inspiring to me as somebody who that doesn't come naturally to. And I think that's that small act of boldness of being, like, comfortable in the piece and being comfortable in that moment with yourself, that then inspires me to also just take a moment and go, I should do that, and put my phone down or close my laptop or just take a moment to just be there in the moment.
That's
and be
right.
happy doing that.
That's right. You talk about people watching, and I also love to watch and observe. Did you know that there's a word called sonder, Sonder? And sonder is this, okay, you're going to love this. Sonder is being aware of, when you're around other people, that everyone is living this beautiful, messy, rich life, and looking at someone and thinking, I wonder what that person's going through today. I wonder what that person's carrying with them today on their shoulders. I wonder where that person's going, what they're off to. I wonder what their story is. That's called sonder.
I So
Yeah.
I gave last episode I gave you Blether. This episode you've given me Sonder. I think we found a new
Mhm.
segment. Word of the week.
Word of the
Love
week.
that. Sonder.
Yes.
That's a
Yeah.
great word. And I
Yep.
suppose we all
So
do it innately.
we do. We do. So when you're out there and you're people watching and you're observing folks, you're kind of automatically thinking about what's happening with these people. Maybe you're making up a story in your head about them based on how they're presenting themselves. And if we're being honest, like how we show up in the world, people can create narratives about us that may or may not be true just based on how we show up in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, I typically wear red lipstick. Today I'm not, which is like wild and weird.
Wild.
Such a shift, but that's the way I
Bold.
typically, yeah, bold not to. Typically, that's the way I present myself, and that tells a story, right? So this idea of Sonder, when you're looking at someone and thinking about their story, do they, are they going, especially in airports? Like I always ask, where are they going? Are they going to a funeral? Are they going to a wedding? Are they going to a job interview? What can I assess based on how they're dressed or what their body language is telling me? And then I just kind of like wonder about what's happening with them. And then really what I love about it is we're all living these bold, messy, wonderful lives in harmony with each other, even though there are billions upon billions upon billions of us with these unique stories.
That is fabulous. I really love that. Thank you for sharing Sonder with us this week. That's nice.
Oh,
I think
yes, of
it's a
course.
great takeaway for a weekend as we go into the weekend and
Mhm.
do those fun things that we're going to do. To just
Yeah.
sonder a little. Is that how you would say? Is that in
Sonder.
context? Have I used that right? I don't know.
I like
I'm
it.
gonna I,
Let's
I'm gonna
sonder
go
a
into this
little.
weekend
Yeah.
sondering.
Yes, right. Because it really just, I think, allows us to tap into humanity
Mm,
again, right?
absolutely, yeah.
We can look down at our screens and think that's being connected, but is it?
Right.
Is it really? Right? Whereas if we're in person and we're kind of like making eye contact with folks and giving them a smile, friendly smile, and whether or not we chat at them is irrelevant to Sonder. Sonder's more of an internal process of connecting humans to each other.
I think
Human
that's
experience.
do you not think that that is also though a skill, and I can bring it back down to the hospitality industry. Maybe that's why I'm such a good people watcher, is
Mm-hmm.
I've lived my entire life within this industry, and I think that in the service industry, whether that's hospitality or otherwise, I just feel like that that curiosity and inquisition and even
Mm-hmm.
if it's not avert, even if it's not going over to somebody and saying, so why are you going to Chicago this weekend, but just
Yeah.
at least having the wherewithal just to wonder internally. I wonder
Yes.
why it is that they're
Yes.
going to Chicago this weekend. Allows
Exactly.
us that almost sense of just bringing everybody back down to a human level and not being a burden or being a like they're just a receipt number or they're just a room number,
Exactly.
but being willing to sonder a
Exactly.
little and realize that there's more going on behind the curtain than they let on. Love
I
that.
love that. I love the way you connected that to hospitality. That's such a brilliant and accurate assessment of how Sonder can play in the hospitality industry. So let's, before we close the speakeasy doors, Ewan, let's each just reiterate what our takeaway of our story is, and then I'll give us the close.
Okay, fantastic. So my story is all about how everybody can get to where they want to get to. It doesn't have to be the conventional path. Like if you are passionate about something, find somebody that's willing to make you better at it and then go for
Yes.
it. Don't stop
Yeah.
until you've got where you want to get to.
Can I get a heck yeah?
Heck yeah. That was so cheesy. I'm so
I
sorry.
know.
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
not.
I'm really
I'm
sorry
not
that I just did
sorry.
that, everybody.
I'm not sorry at all. At
Thanks.
all. I think it was amazing.
Okay, I yours?
My story is about how making bold choices doesn't mean they have to be big life quaking things. Bold choices show up in our everyday life, and the small, bold choices can be just as impactful as the bold AF choices.
Can I get a hell yeah?
I was hoping you would. Hell yeah.
I think we found our catchphrase, everyone. I love that. Oh, thank you. Okay, so we decided that we're gonna
Yes.
open the show with our opener, and we're gonna close our show with a challenge for everybody.
Yes.
So we'll take turns, and we've
Yes.
decided that this week it's we've
Yes.
decided collectively. Sorry, this is not some sort of dictatorial vodcast situation. We collectively decided that Cassandra is going to provide us with this week's challenge. So, Cassandra,
Indeed.
challenge us.
Thank you, Ewan. All right, folks, we're about to close the speakeasy doors for this week. Before you go, here's your Friday Courage Challenge. This week, we challenge you to practice gratitude. Now, Ewan spoke about it in his story. He spoke about Anne and how she was so pivotal in his trajectory. So your challenge is once a day, thank one person for one specific thing. That's it. It could sound like, hey, thanks for handling that situation calmly, or appreciate you stepping up in that meeting. The one rule we suggest or kind of boundary we put on it is say it to the person in front of them, not about them to someone else. Because when we receive gratitude, our entire mind shift can change. And when gratitude can fuel a team into greatness, right? All it takes is one moment. And it works because people feel seen, trust grows, culture shifts, leadership strengthens. So once a day, thank one person for one specific thing. That's it. Easy.
Easy. Can I do my moment of gratitude? Is that okay?
Please.
I'm going to do it here. I would like to say thank you to Belle, one of our dogs, who has whined and has wanted my attention for this entire live stream and has not once barked. And I'm grateful to her for that.
Tell Belle. Yes.
Yes, you are wonderful and we appreciate you. And I know you want to go outside and it will happen for you. There we go.
Well done. See, and Belle feels like the belle with the ball right now. She's just living
She's
her
ready.
best life.
She's ready.
That's amazing.
Oh, thank you for that. I love that challenge. That's a great weekly challenge. So we're going to do a challenge every week. It's going to change, but I love that challenge for this week. It's a great one. So thank you,
of course,
Sparks, for joining me and being a part of our fabulous vodcast, the Speakeasy Doors.
Yes.
I'll let you sign us off.
That's right. Certainly. If this conversation sparked something for you, share it with someone who needs a seat at our table. We'll see you back here next Friday. Same speakeasy, same sparks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great weekend and week ahead. See you next week.
That's right.
Bye, Cassandra.
Bye-bye. Bye, Ewan.
Bye. Bye.